excited today to have a special guest on the show who has not only been a very important person in my life, but is one of New Zealand's foremost neuromuscular therapists. I'll let Leon explain what that means in a minute, but this is a man that we're so excited to have here in the studio. He has been teaching around the country for many, many years, has had an exciting life, born in the US, lives up north now, is part of a rather important family to New Zealand in terms of alternative health. Both him and his wife teach around the country, treat people who are in need, and have surprised a lot of doctors and patients with things that he can do. So I'll hand it over to welcome to the show from Rob and I. Leon, thanks for coming in.
I'm glad to be invited, and to me, it's just normal life, really. So where do we start?
Well, I guess
that's the big question, isn't it?
The big question is where do we start?
Because off camera, we were diving deep into so many topics, but I guess we can start with, like you were born in the US, right? So we were talking before about how that, how our reality and how things influence us from the external. What was it like being born in the US?
Well, it was great because where I grew up, it was considered a poor part of town.
Right.
And there was only Black Americans, Mexican Americans, and Native Americans. There was no white people. So we didn't have any problems, believe it or not. If you dislike somebody, it's because they're being an idiot or something.
Yeah.
Not for the color of the skin. And we called each other's names. It never meant anything except there were just names we called each other. So when they started to ship people around to integrate everybody and bus everybody around to try to balance things out, they actually threw the balance off because then there was a different point of view from different people who didn't understand us, and that made it harder. So then, of course, we really learned what racism was.
Right. So you bring up racism, which is just, it always fascinates me because, we were talking before about knowing who you really are, beyond your identity, beyond your religion, beyond your title, beyond your name. But in these constructs, like we talk about this all the time, our programming and our constructs, and we align ourselves to, it's important to have these constructs in order, I think, to navigate this reality, but that's what we're programmed with. But beyond that, it's like, well, who are we really? And racism, just like any other term, is something that was man-made or constructed in order for what? To divide us, division, separation. Whereas, like a non-dual philosophy is that we're not separate, we're connected to everything, to all life.
Of course.
And I think we've lost that. We were talking about before about, this divide and conquer or separation. But it's separation not just from other things out there, but from ourselves. So it's that inner division. Would you agree with that in terms of?
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. The thing is, it's not only about separation. It's about giving somebody the rights to be over you. Right? Because they're supposed to be superior to you. And you're supposed to be, like the word primitive, everybody thinks it's a bad word, but it just means the first ones. And words, like you said before, are important in how we use them and how we mean them. And that's up to us. You see what I'm saying? It's up to us. But that's only in our world. When somebody has their own world, that word is completely different for them. And they can use it in a different manner. And it gives them the right to say things to you because they believe they're better than you are. And I don't believe anybody's better than anybody. I think everybody has their good people and their not so good people.
How close were you in growing up to your Native American history?
Not very close. Not very close. I had to find it because, again, there's another discriminatory product, which is called the religion, which came into play, and they try to civilize us. And so you'd go to Catholic Church, and you'd go through all these indoctrinations and how to believe and what to believe, what's right, what's wrong. Yet they were the ones also breaking those rules at the same time. If you read the Bible, because I've read it several times because I grew up in the Catholic Church, God said to treat children and love the children and send them to him. Jesus said, send the children to me. They're beautiful. But in the Catholic school, they'll whip you, they'll beat you up, they'll punish you, and they'll do all the things opposite of what's written in the rules. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
makes it sound more like a control book than a book of love and light.
Yeah. Well, the Bible does have some great things in it.
Of course.
But the interpretation, again, depends on the people interpreting. Like, as an altar boy, the church used to give handouts to the poor. And in part of those handouts was tobacco and alcohol. And I would ask, well, why are we giving things that destroyed the culture? Oh, they need some good things in their life. I said, how was that a good thing? So they didn't really want to discuss it any more than that. They said, oh, we're just giving them, and they have to accept it. So, and then, of course, the foods, now that I know more about foods, were below average foods. They were just sugars. They were white flours. They were stuff that damaged the human body, and I didn't learn that till later on in life, of course. So they were not giving them things to bring their energy up, bring their health up, and make them become stronger people. They were actually things that were bringing them down, in my opinion, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
You've always been someone that questions people's motivations and what drives them, which I think is something Rob and I really appreciate, because we often ask the question, not only what is real, but what is your programming? Has that applied much in your therapy with people?
All the time. People have been brainwashed to think that the body is something that you can just inject or cut or say that's just too bad, that's the way you live.
Yeah.
But the body is a living thing that changes continuously. Like, even if you read scientific books, they tell you some of the parts of the body are replaced overnight. Some of the cells are replaced in 7 days. And by 7 years, every cell in your body has been replaced. Right? Now, think about that. So my students usually ask me, so why don't I have a brand new body? It's been 7 years. I said, well, what did you do in those 7 years to create that perfect body? Did you eat better foods? Did you drink better fluids? Did you exercise? Did you hang around better people? Did you educate yourself about your own health? And they go, no. Well, if you don't do anything, it's not going to change. So it's up to us.
Yeah.
And we have to have it in our mindset that we reprogram ourselves into being the best that we can be and get the most that we can get out of ourselves by believing in ourselves. And unfortunately, that's not part of the system.
Well, I really want to get to some of the really cool things that you've done in your life as a therapist, but can we just fast forward a bit from where you were in your mind growing up, Catholic Church, and just go forward a few more years? What was going on at that point? Let's get a full history, which should give us a sense of where we're coming to.
Well, it was a troubling era when I grew up. There's, still has been racism, but there was times where it was more prominent than others. And I went to high school, and I was trying to get out of fighting, because being a Catholic boy, first I went to school and to a normal school, which it was like a whole new world. And then people were coming up to me and slapping me and says, turn your cheek, you're the little Christian boy. So I turned my cheek, they slapped me again. So that got boring after a while, should I say. And so I started to fight back. And then, of course, that got me in trouble. And then so after fighting for 2 years in junior high, I wasn't allowed in any other junior highs around the area. So I went back to Catholic school. And in the Catholic school that I went to, it was for wealthy people. So I had to clean rooms at the end of the day to help pay for myself. Because my parents didn't have that much money.
Right.
And still getting picked on by these people. So I fought back. And then they were trying to kick me out again. But it wasn't my fault. Because luckily there's 2 people that were there that told them that I didn't start it. I was basically cleaning the whiteboards and cleaning the chairs and stuff like that. And this little wealthy kid with this 2 big bodyguards, I'd say, came in to push me around and make fun of me and tell me that my family's poor and da-da-da. So I took it like a good Christian boy. But when he insulted my parents,
Oh, yeah.
And then he spit on me.
Oh.
Right.
He thought he had that right.
Yeah.
Oof. They call dark people colored people, but this white boy turned very colorful when I punched him around a few times. And so I stopped after, because I was getting pretty enraged because it was just pissing me off. And so I stopped, and these two young girls came in, and they saw the whole thing, and he had these two bodyguards. But I said, okay, if you're next, it's you're next, So they decided not to, thank goodness, because they were pretty big. And so then I got sent to the office. This boy was trying to say that I jumped him, and I had friends with me, and I beat him up, and all the lies. And of course, they were believing him. Luckily, these two young girls that I'd become friends with came in and said, no, that's not the truth. And so I was left alone, But
Wow. And they just accepted his lies and didn't give him any punishment for that?
No.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you learned early on that you had to defend yourself and you had to fight back, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was that kind of also there's the macho society of the Mexicans. They have this macho society, so
it fascinates me because bullying in school, bullying in any environment. I mean, where does that stem from? I know it's a hard question to ask, but it's just.
You mean like why do groups get together and then treat other people badly?
Well, I guess it's because maybe you're different, or like good Christian boy or whatever. People have this fear of something that is different, perhaps, or there's an insecurity within someone that they need to, or an anger or something which makes someone pick on someone else. I know, I'm just fascinated by that.
Well, I am too, because
it just seems to be a normal part of society, but why is it normalized?
I experienced plenty of that shit too at school, but it was more in the form of verbal,
sure,
than the other, I guess, luckily. But yeah, people do it. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I believe some of it does stem from the way they grew up, because the guys that were bullies were beaten up by their parents.
I'm sure. It's like this a trauma cycle that gets perpetuated.
A taught program if it's being beaten up by their parents, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, lack of not having things, because there are some guys that would go around asking these younger guys for their money, for lunch money, so they could have more money.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have any money. So instead of just sharing or asking, they would take it.
Right.
And so I actually, without knowingly, I became the bully of the bullies. So, but
you didn't realize, or did you know it?
I didn't do it on purpose, but they were picking on these younger boys and these smaller kids, and so I would stop them from doing it.
Mm-hmm. Sort of a defender of the innocent.
Yeah,
that's the beginning of a comic book.
Because I was going to ask you how that impacted you mentally, emotionally as a person, and then you've sort of answered that.
I guess I became
did something within you, activated something within you to go, hang on, I'm going to defend people that maybe can't defend themselves. Yeah.
No, that's what I was doing. I was protecting these guys because they didn't deserve it. They didn't deserve to get beaten up or nothing. And I could easily protect myself because I used to be doing boxing and karate.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you. Like, did you? Because I know I follow the UFC or MMA fighters, and a lot of them. One of my favorite fighters, GSP, he was bullied at school, and then he went into karate or followed the martial arts, and that became a huge turning point in his life, and it made his career. But it all stemmed from that. Yeah. I'm not saying everyone that's bullied turns to martial arts, but often it activates something within you, the fight or flight. You go, well, I'm going to get better. I'm going to become stronger, or I'm going to, train my body and learn how to defend myself.
Well, what started you with? Was it boxing, did you say?
Yeah, I started boxing. Well, but the thing, I grew up with a lot of brothers and cousins. So we always wrestled and fought.
Yeah,
right.
So it wasn't never done in a negative way. It was just for fun. And so I already had a lot of skills. So in order to get more skills, I went to the gym, the boxing clubs and stuff like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you mentioned before Mexicans, what did you say? They were always...
They're macho society.
Macho society, yeah. So when you were growing up in, was it Corpus Christi?
Yeah.
Were you viewed as a Mexican or were you viewed as a Native American? Or is there just no difference?
It's funny because...
If the way people view you matters, I don't know.
Well, how do I explain this? the natives have done everything they can to camouflage themselves from being noticed.
Okay.
So they become Mexicans or something else.
So being a Native American was the worst position to be in.
Yes. Still is.
I had no idea.
So this still is.
Fascinating.
Still is.
Yeah.
And so you grew up thinking you're something that you're not.
Huh.
Like, because I come from Comanche, Apache, Blackfoot. And then, of course, there's some Aztec and Mayan and some Spanish. That's why I got my colored eyes from Spanish, because they came and did a lot of horrible things.
Mm.
And so you're trying to camouflage yourself so you won't be noticed. That's a way of life for a lot of people, especially the Native people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just said I was Mexican because everybody else was saying it. But I wasn't. I was part Mexican, but I was also more Native than I was Mexican. But what is a Mexican? A Native.
Yeah, true. Right. I mean, isn't a Mexican a Native American just a little further south?
A little further south.
Yeah.
So that's all it is. But, you know, it's funny because me protecting all these people, I wasn't done for any reason other than I didn't like the idea of me being bullied, so I didn't like the idea of them being bullied. Later on in life, it benefited me because I'd go through town and people would say, "Oh, it's you," and I'd get a free meal or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because they became successful because they didn't have to worry about being beaten up anymore. They could study and do the things they wanted to do.
Wow.
And so, yeah, and it was really crazy.
Well, I guess that takes us forward now to about sort of 18, 19, 20 years of age.
No, that was still, 17, 18.
17, 18.
Yeah.
Who, when you learned boxing, were you learning at a school or at a after school class?
A boxing gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you pay for that?
I cleaned the gym.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And the guy believed in me so much, he thought I could make the Olympics. So I kept on, going to him. And he had some really good boxers and stuff. But, being a motorcycle rider, I got creamed coming off the motorway or highway in the U.S. And it kind of stopped my boxing career for a while.
Yeah.
And so I was in pain. I couldn't walk very well. But I still did everything I needed to do to keep going in life. And the funny thing is the reason I got into therapy was because of my injury. I went to aviation school to use my brains now because, couldn't use my bronze anymore. And using your bronze for a lot of Native people and a lot of Mexican people is getting out of the suburbs. And for Black people is to get out by becoming champions. And that's why there's a lot of them. And so I was in aviation school. We had this guy who used to complain about his back pain all the time. And we just got bored with him. And the one week he came and he never complained. And so I was curious and I asked him, says, "How come you're not complaining anymore? I got used to it." And he goes, "Oh, well, I went to a massage therapist." And of course, massage therapy was,
right.
Yeah, sure.
taboo. And she worked on my back and all the other guys were like, "Oh, yeah, right." And I was thinking, well, it might be legit because he's walking around not complaining, And so I said, "Give me the number." And I went and I said, "If it's not legit, I'll just walk out. No big deal." Boy, she was legit, but she put me through some serious, intense sessions. But to make a long story short, I took the karate state championships a year later.
Wow.
And when I went back to the doctors and people who told me that I was going to be in pain the rest of my life, they just brushed it off like, "Oh, sometimes the body just spontaneously relieves itself." I said, "Sure, these people don't know." So I thought, I'm going to make it a living of making them look wrong.
Yeah, and so began a lifetime of treating people who doctors said couldn't improve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad how the medical profession gives up on those they don't have the answers to. Instead of just saying you don't have the answers and keep trying, they give up. And that's not all medical people. There's some good ones out there too. Don't misunderstand my thoughts on that because I've worked with a lot of good ones. But I think as a whole, it's become more of I guess just to be honest, drug pushing system.
A money-making endeavor,
in
a big
money,
corporate entity.
I will say this, out of defense for people that aren't here, there are some good folks who just simply run out of options. And by the good folks, I'm talking about the medical professionals who are trained conventionally and are not made aware of these things. And to an extent may even poo-poo them because that's what they're trained to do. When you can finally open their minds, they go, okay. And then I think they'll try new things. But for good people who really would like to help, they kind of think there's nothing left they can offer their patients.
Yeah. No, and I said there's a lot of good doctors. I know that for a fact. That's not taken away from them. But Rich, this is 2025.
Yeah.
Janet Travell started in the 1960s on trigger point therapy.
Let's cover who she is, actually, because Travell and Simons are famous for their textbooks that run through the pain points on the body, the trigger points, and their referred pain patterns, and where they radiate, and how if something comes up, say a patch over the eye of pain, and I'm going to butcher this, and Leon will correct me, I know, you may go to the sternocleidomastoid to find the trigger points for it and locate elsewhere in the body where the pain is coming from, or at least referring to. So Travell and Simons famously made the books that map the whole body out, and Travell was JFK, the president, his personal physician, I think.
And Lyndon B. Johnson.
And Lyndon B. Johnson's.
Yep.
The other president, yeah.
But again, to me, the only thing I can think of, to be honest, it's either they're not using it because it works and they don't make a lot of money off it, or it was a woman who created it. That's the only things I can think of because it works tremendously well. I've had people who've had migraines for 35 years and had to self-inject themselves in the neck just to get up out of bed for 35 years. Mm-hmm. And then we work on them for 2-3 months and they don't have to inject themselves anymore and they can get out of bed. And I didn't do anything miraculous. I did exactly what a medical doctor has already proven to work.
Yeah, because it was a medical doctor who came up with...
Yeah.
Travell and Simons came up with those texts. I've got a copy of them. One of the most expensive pair of textbooks I've ever purchased.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as part of the course that I was lucky enough to be on with Leon. Fascinating. I think this probably takes us to some of the stories of how this alternative therapy, because it's alternative in the eyes of Western medical, can actually help folks. You told me once about the scar on a woman who had had a cesarean, given birth with a cesarean birth procedure, and what happened months, maybe years later with the treatment. Can you go through that?
Well, that's another type of therapy called myofascial release. And that came out, I think, in the 60s as well. And basically, the body is covered with a tissue called fascia. And that fascia is more of a design than anything else. A muscle isn't a muscle without the fascia. If you took out the fascia from muscle, it would just be a bunch of contractile cells falling around.
So fascia is kind of the pockets and the shapes of muscle.
Yeah.
Like an empty balloon?
Yeah.
And then you fill it with the muscle.
Yep.
And the balloon shape is what it can become.
Yep. And then the muscle holds on to that fascia and pulls on it. And the fascia is attached to bones, which moves the bones.
Right.
Mm. Yeah. And so it only makes sense because the fascia is alive. And research has shown it to have like little crystal type designs on it. And so they also noted that it holds memory. So when the fascia has been traumatized, no matter what you do to the muscles, if you don't address the fascia, memory's going to stay there.
Mm. That fascinates me because I was going to ask you that question. I remember listening to a podcast, and I can't remember, I won't mention the name, but basically it boiled down to the stored trauma was in the fascia.
Exactly.
This person had tried every other sort of modality or healing, and it was all in the fascia. That's fascinating. Yeah, please continue with that.
Well, as we know, crystals has been scientifically proven. They use them for holding memory and information and creating power. If you don't understand that, just look at a watch that says quartz on it.
Yeah.
That's a crystal, quartz, and it keeps excellent time because it has excellent memory.
Wow.
So, can I just slight divergence here for a second? Ewan Campbell that you've met, who with EcoFarm Aotearoa, talks about the silica component in the land holding memory of the frequencies of prior treatments that it's been given in terms of fertilizers. And if some of those fertilizers were bad, even though they've gone, dissipated and dissolved away into nothing, the memory of it still replicates that frequency and treats the land in a way that may not be ideal. I mean, that's just all because of the silica quartz in it.
Right.
Or I should say the silica, but I'm overstepping.
And is the moon made of silica? Is that correct? Or
cheese, I believe. Cheese, is that
or,
right?
or no? Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't all the sand has got silica components?
Sand is silica.
Yeah,
Yes,
basically.
Basically, yeah. Sorry, Leon, you were saying about the structure of the fascia.
Yeah, no. So if you don't address the fascia, you're not addressing the issue.
Mm.
And one of the sayings of myofascial release is the issues are in the tissues.
The issues are in the tissues.
The issues in the tissue.
Yeah.
So that includes scar tissue. Right. Now,
Right.
just because I knocked you out with drugs, cut you open, and sewed you up, and you didn't physically go through that pain, the body knows something changed.
And the body went through the pain.
And
you
the
just
body
don't
went
remember
through
it,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So think about this. Everything in our body is a process. Does that make sense? Everything
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
is a
absolutely.
process.
Yeah.
So having a baby is a process. So you know how when a landing gear opens up, it hits a couple switches to let you know that they're locked into place.
Mm.
We have sensors 10 million times more than that. So we have sensors to tell us everything. And so when a woman gives birth through the canal, there are sensors in her body tell her that the baby has been come out. Now, but when you cut across her abdominal area and take it out through there, it didn't go through those sensors.
Mm.
So my thoughts, I haven't scientifically proven this, but I have proved it in my office that memory of the baby still being there, still there. So
the body's left with kind of a ghost child.
Yeah.
It thinks it's still pregnant, but because it hasn't gone through the mechanism that would fire off the sensors saying, and you're complete, you're done, it's out.
So that process in the body's sense has not been completed.
It hasn't been completed.
There's a phrase in anatomy and physiology, and it takes me back years ago when I was training, and I can't remember the phrase. Maybe you can help me remember it. It was to do with, like, for example, there are feedback loops. So when we bleed, there's a feedback loop to stop the bleeding through clotting and so forth. But that's one that suppresses. Whereas there are other ones that need to be completed and needs to have finished, like a sneeze or an orgasm, and maybe a birth. Is that right?
Yeah.
So can you remember what
Are you
that's
talking
called?
about the autonomic and?
No, it's not. There's just a name for it, and I can't remember what it is. That feedback process of arresting or completing happens, and so there's two, one or the other.
Yep.
And so if you have high blood pressure, the feedback process is to bring it down in a normal person.
Yep.
If you are overheated, the feedback process is to bring it back to a place of homeostasis, right? Yeah. But if you have never completed something, you're left with a sense of imbalance.
Yeah, well,
which is why it's so annoying to go to sneeze and not complete a sneeze. You go, no, I just want it out.
Sure, but in case of childbirth, if that process is not completed, what does that look like for the woman in terms of is it an emotional pain? Is it a mental? Or is it a
postnatal depression?
Okay,
pains in the abdominal area.
Right.
Remember, each person is individual.
Yeah.
So whatever their pain is their pain.
Sure.
And so
that speaks a lot, doesn't it? Just if you have an imbalance, here's a world of issues that come from it.
Yeah.
Even if it was just something we didn't quite complete.
Well,
like postnatal depression or something else.
Yeah. Well, think about this. Like you got a computer and you get 10 computers and you throw water in each one of the computers. They're all going to react differently. And those are just
no shit, Sherlock. You just hope you got a waterproof computer in there. Yeah.
Well,
the
problems are going to be different. Well, we're the same way, but we're even more complex than a computer.
Even more, I would say, even more complex.
Yeah.
But you raise a really important point that one size does not fit all, or one modality. And that's why I think they'll try something and it doesn't necessarily work for them, but it could work for something else. And everyone sort of needs their own personal prescription or path. And I think that comes down to getting to know your own body and your own inner wisdom and sort of helping with that along.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. But it fascinates me that the body it's just infinitely complex. But there is a natural wisdom, and you touched on that, like the processes, and there is a natural childbirth. or a natural anything. And then if we interrupt that with something, then you've interrupted something which has its own innate wisdom, even though we're trying to do that in order to help.
Yeah, and thank goodness for cesarean births, right?
There's a good intention behind it.
There'd be a lot of people that weren't here if it wasn't for the cesarean procedure, and there'd probably be a lot of mums that weren't here either, who couldn't get it working, in that moment. And there are other procedures that help with that, but I also happen to know, having sat on and listened to Leon's wife, Rix, to talk about natural childbirth and how using herbs has phenomenally transformed the birthing process into a much easier process. And I say this with all due respect. I know I'm a guy, and I may never experience or understand or be able to relate, but intellectually I can hear that there's ways in which it could be easier, and I hope for that for people. But let's continue with that story, because you were working on her scar tissue. What happened?
Well, she was sent to me. The thing is, she was sent to me without enough information by a doctor. He just wanted to say how it worked because he read about it in the book, which is good for him.
Well, what was she presenting with in terms of problems?
They wouldn't tell me.
Oh, really? It was like a mystery patient.
Goes, could you just work on the abdominal area?
The abdominal area?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've said, for what reasons? She says, just work on it, please, and use that myofascial stuff.
Use that myofascial. At this point, were you working in the hospital?
I was working in the hospital, but at that time it was in my private office.
Okay.
I was referred to by a lot of doctors, which was really good. So that I believe doctors, there's some great doctors out there, but I just believe a lot of them are held back.
Yeah.
And are afraid to move forward. And I think that's a shame, because they can do some great work, even greater than what they're doing now.
Yeah. Would they be held back because of their own belief system or through the system they're in?
The system.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying before. It's the limitations of what they're taught.
Yeah, and I can understand that. Yeah. Like if you start to rock the boat, so to speak,
But to help people, you should rock the boat. To help people, you should.
Well, I think it's just important to be open. I mean, because we all have our belief systems and limitations and constraints. And one of the hardest things I know for me is to always continuously to evolve and grow and be open to new ideas and new concepts.
Yeah. But see, they're from a scientific background. And scientific research understanding is about questioning, not about obeying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Full credit to the doctors at NZDSOS for actually rocking the boat and risking everything, right?
So this lady came in and asked her what were her symptoms and all that. And she goes, just abdominal pain and work there, please. And, that's reality. People aren't always willing to tell you what's going on. They just want you to work it, and hopefully it changes without information. That can be difficult, but sometimes you just got to go through the motions to see what's there. So I started working on her scar tissue, and it didn't take very long. And she started to tremble and said, I'm getting pain. I said, okay, would you like me to back off? She goes, no, that pain is familiar, because she's had a baby before that, naturally.
Oh.
And so she goes, I'm going into labor. I said, are you pregnant? She goes, no. I said, okay, would you like me to stop? She goes, no. It feels like I need to. So she went through labor. She had discharges. She had contractions. And here I was, because, I was still new. And so it wasn't even freaking me out. But I went and used the format that I was given to complete the situation. And so she basically gave birth to the baby. She said that her pain is completely less than ever was before. And then we did that several more times, and it was completely gone. And the doctor was so thankful. He wrote me this great letter, and so it was crazy. And so my learning just expanded tremendously, and I'm like, what else can I do?
I was going to say, that would have been like, wow.
Oh, it was.
So this actually happened. I have direct experience. What are you?
Yeah, that's amazing. And you said she went and did that several more times. So each time did she go through the process of the completion of that feedback, like as though it was the completion of a birth?
Yeah.
So for her body?
Each time was slightly different. But what happened was, okay, you got to remember there's different layers And I
in myofascial release.
Myofascial release. So I can't get all the layers in one shot.
Right. And this is all around the scar tissue she had on that cesarean cut.
Yeah. And then, of course, the scar goes in deeper as well.
Of course.
So,
yeah.
You know, and it affected her ability to get pregnant because there's another lady that I did that with. And what happens is the tubes, the fallopian tubes and all that can be twisted and torn because they're held up by little wires of fascia.
Yeah, fascial positioning. Yeah.
And so if there's a torque or twist because of emotional, whatever, physical trauma, bad diet, whatever, they can twist and turn the fascial systems in the body. And so all I do is basically unwind them and soften them and lengthen them. And then just one lady, she came up to me after working on her several times, says, "I'm pregnant." I said, "Okay, what does that mean?" You know, "You're pregnant." She goes, "Oh, I've been trying to get pregnant. And somebody said that this fascia stuff can help. So I'm pregnant now. My husband's happy." And
she never told you that before she saw you that she was trying to get pregnant?
No,
right.
Wow. So instead of, to me, like, wow, this could help lots of women who were trying to get pregnant.
What about the painful disorder of endometriosis?
Well, I've helped with that, reduce it quite a bit, but there's a lot more that needs to be done with that. Our systems aren't there for health, unfortunately. We need to redo our systems of health because it's more of a illness society than it is a health society. Because if, doctors really cared and government really cared, we start with our foods. Stop poisoning our foods. Start feeding our soils like your friend is feeding the soils. And then, just cook it differently. So we need to stop frying all these foods and just give good and nutritional. And I love New Zealand, but they said 80% of the water you can't drink from the streams. That's not a good clean green system.
No, that's a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we need to start cleaning our water so people can have good water. And of course, not adding additives to the water that's going to make us sick. So, yes. But, I don't know if I told you the most interesting one I had was just, again, for some reason, they don't like to give information, but this older guy came to my office and he said he had really bad abdominal problems as well. And of course, he wasn't going to be having cesarean.
That's not for him. Yeah.
Same problem.
And this was pretty intense, but he comes into me and he's very subdued, very quiet, and you could tell he was ex-soldier because I used to be, and I was an ex-soldier. I could see by his mannerisms.
Do you want to just fit in where your soldiering came from? Like how many years? Because we just jumped that, didn't we?
We did. I was going to ask you about your...
We'll have to come back to that.
We can come back to that.
He comes in and you recognize soldier to soldier.
So, yeah. And I was going to ask you why, but can you just briefly describe what sort of mannerisms do you remember? Like, what is it? Is it their demeanor, their posture, the way they move?
It's just the way they hold themselves.
Okay.
The way they hold themselves, the politeness that they have,
Yeah, okay.
Their direct understanding and direct way to talk. There's quite a few little hints there.
Yeah, and I guess you would need to be military trained and a soldier to just kind of recognize that.
It's a whole
checking
world.
the exits and the windows on any room, seeing what their escape route is.
Yeah. Jack Reacher, Anyway.
Well, he portrayed the
well, you're right, because he's very direct
really
and very well-mannered and has a certain way about him, sure.
And of course, not all soldiers are like that, but a majority of them that have been in there for a while, you can see it in their mannerisms.
Yeah.
Sure.
So he said he had abdominal pain, and so he had all these weird-looking scars on his abdominal area. So I said, okay. So I asked what happened. He goes, something happened. So I said, okay. That's the life
something happened.
That's the life of a therapist.
That's not very direct.
Here we go.
Well, this was very important, very, how do I call it? It was something that...
Was it a traumatic experience for him, so it was hard for him to...
Yeah, talking about trauma sometimes is very difficult.
Oh, yeah. Completely understand.
And that's why myofascia can work really well, because it brings that information up to the surface. So what I did was I started, working on his fascia. I said about 45 minutes later, he started sweating. He was sweating like he was, you couldn't believe he was sweating. There was just water dripping off him. Then his eyes and his face changed. And I was a paramedic in the military, so I've seen trauma before, like something that really deeply hurt him.
Like he's going into shock?
Yeah.
Looking like the startle reflex or something.
Yeah. And,
wide eyes?
Yeah, his eyes were wide. And then he's just looking at me and he's grinding his teeth and looks like he's trying to hold something in. And I'm saying, I'm trying my best because this was a whole new situation for me. And I said, you're safe here. You can, you can let go anything you want. Everything's okay. I got your back. And then he goes, are they still shooting at him?
Ooh.
Tell me about it. And I said, no. And he goes, I think I hear incoming. So he grabs me by my chest, pulls me over. Luckily, I had plush carpet. And we landed together. My table wasn't that high, thank goodness. We landed together on the ground and landed side by side. And I placed my hand back on his abdominal area just to comfort him. And he goes, am I going to be okay? And of course, we're in my office. So my thought was not to scare him. He says, yes, you're going to be okay. Am I going to survive? I said, yes, you're going to, because, this is 20 years later. I said, yes, you're going to be okay, because I could.
Yeah.
And I wanted to reassure him. And then he goes, oh, I said, if you want to make noise, everything's good, you're free to do so. And he just had this scream that he's been holding into for all these years and all this pain. This is a very visceral.
I was going to say visceral, guttural.
Guttural, yeah.
Oh,
primal.
God. Yeah.
Wow, Leon, that makes me emotional.
Yeah, I'm getting chills. But
still makes me emotional.
Feel it.
So was it actually gunshot wounds or was it shrapnel? Yeah.
They had some nasty things back then. It was shrapnel.
But that's really interesting because you spent time in the US Army and you trained as a medic, right?
Yep.
So did that help that moment?
Oh, yes, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Military's a different world.
But just to be clear, for him, he was back at the moment of trauma.
Yep.
He saw, heard, and felt, and was everything that was going on for him was just so real. And you threw him he jumped on the floor with you and you confirmed it, look, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be all right. So he was right back in that moment. He time traveled.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, because the trauma gets stored, imprinted in the emotional body, and it doesn't matter if it's 10 years or 10 minutes. It's still there until it's released.
It was, again, I was new, so this was all new for me, but it was just confirming I was in a good place. I was going to be able to help more people for things that I've never heard. Even my own instructors didn't tell me that. They just said, oh, yes, you release the fascia, and let's go.
Yeah.
And by the way, it could release some memories, but I didn't know what that really meant. Boy, I learned pretty intense.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but it sounds like, because I'm kind of joining the dots here, but your life's journey has been like orchestrated because you had the military experience and then you had this guy come in and it all just fits. It all just fits. Like you're the right person.
You couldn't want for a better setup prior to doing something like that.
Exactly.
Like who else would you want to go to as a veteran than rather to see a therapist that was a veteran?
Who understood.
Who understood. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And I worked on him several times and he didn't get to that intensity anymore because that was a big change for him. And he was feeling better. He was feeling more confident. Yeah. But I always, after that last experience, I tell doctors, please give me some information. So I won't be in it blindly. I could have a better understanding of the situation.
Yeah, well, you would think they would, right? It'd be part of a case history referral.
Yeah.
Patient has experienced XYZ. Please see if you can help with XYZ symptoms, but nothing?
Yeah. But I'll tell you a funny thing, Stephen. In the massage industry, not everybody, but there's quite a few who won't work on the abdominal area because of their own insecurities. As a professional therapist, you can have your insecurities, but you should not apply them to other people.
100%.
Because there's a lot of people who are not getting their abdominal contents worked on to allow these things to go out. And the reason I say that is because I had another lady sent to me by a doctor. I was in an office that had a lot of psychologists and psychiatrists. And she came to me and said, same thing, just work my abdominal area. That's all. So I worked the abdominal area. And then she went into these horrible crying tears and just weeping. And thing is, she had a sheet on, right? And she grabbed the sheet and walked out my door and disappeared into the hallway.
Come on, really?
Yeah, really. I'm like, I didn't know anything. Her stuff was here. How was she going to get out of the building and stuff like that? And all she had was my sheet. She had her under stuff on.
Yeah.
So she was, not too bad. And I was waiting and waiting, think, what do I do? Am I going to go knocking everybody's door? So sure enough, this lady comes up to me and she goes, "Oh, thank you. You've reached success because I've read about this myofascial release." And she goes, "I heard that it helps with issues and things come out, and you worked on her abdominal area." And she let it all out, and she told me she was held by some idiots on the ground and tickled so hard. She was having incontinence problems as well until she peed on herself. These horrible things that happen to people.
Wow.
And she was able to overcome it. She felt better, and she felt like she had more control. And I worked on her several more times after that, but at least I had some information.
What did she do when she walked out the room taking a sheet with her to cover herself? I mean, did she just go and sort of have an emotional moment for herself?
Yeah. No, she went, her doctor was down the road that I didn't know, down the hall.
So meanwhile, because you're working at that facility, so she went off to see the doctor that referred her.
Yeah.
To thank her for sending her to me.
Wow.
And to tell her she knows now why she feels that way.
Yeah.
Because the issues that are in her tissues aren't always connected to our brain so we can understand them until we connect them together.
Yeah.
So before you were talking about memory held in quartz and in silica and in the fascia. So the memory becomes, boom, into the brain. You go, ding, got it. So she knows where it was all from. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I could say that hundreds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just so amazing. And it's hard to believe, even if you've learned it as a therapy. I'm supposed to have issues in the tissues and that. But then when it happens, it's like, Jesus Christ, man, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And the thing is, I didn't do anything special. All I did was what medical people have done or know how to do, and helped people with it. Like trigger points, helped people with it. Myofascial release, help people with it. And people who didn't have any other way to go. And I was one of the last ditch efforts. But thing is, there's not enough of me, people with my information. And I've tried to promote it as much as I can, but it's just not there.
Because I would imagine a lot of people, like you brought this up earlier, it's a last resort. You've done the normal avenues of figuring out what's wrong with you, maybe taking some, gone to a regular doctor, but often it's these other therapies and modalities and, the people that don't even know about this stuff, about myofascial release necessarily.
But the thing is, there's a lot of scientific studies on these things. I mean, Travell has 2 huge manuals.
Yeah.
And Simons has been adding more stuff to them that he's found. And these are doctors, medical doctors, that were in the top of the level. Why aren't we using more of that?
Because you can't make a subscription to it. You can't subscribe to a drug on that one. It's kind of it's a fix it and done, one and done.
It's pretty amazing stuff because if you're listening to Dr. Travell, you remember the tapes we used to see once in a while?
Oh, the anatomy and physiology ones of the cadavers?
No, of Travell.
No, I don't remember actually.
Oh, okay.
Not that
But anyway, she would just talk just like I'm just saying. She goes, person comes in, doctors take care of it, but it's just a simple trigger point. She injects it and it goes away.
Yeah. So she did trigger point therapy where she'd inject, was it saline?
She did both.
She would inject saline into the P-like trigger point?
I think there's a certain chemical she uses that kind of washes out the trigger point region of the toxins and metabolic waste.
It's interesting how it's evolved because now we have needling, often done by physiotherapists, where they're needling trigger points on a similar system to what Travell and Simons taught. But that's different from a neuromuscular therapist or massage therapist who's working trigger points.
Yeah, the thing
because
is,
they're not going to pierce the skin in any way.
When you say needling, actually using
so
needle.
they'll get acupuncture needles and pop it onto the spot and then work it. I think. Am I right? But they'll also just do it to muscles generally without that sense of where the trigger points are. So they have their own philosophy. But in a way, I view physiotherapy as a kind of an offshoot of massage therapy. If you look at where it's come from an ancient perspective,
Because something like acupuncture, would I be correct in saying that there's the roadmap or the map of the body has been mapped out, right? And that knowledge is there, and that's where the trigger points are in terms of
that's acupuncture. A whole other rabbit hole, isn't it?
Is that a whole other rabbit hole?
What's happening with my understanding is acupuncture, you're right, it's already been mapped thousands of years ago.
Sure.
And those are meridian lines.
Meridian line, that's what I was looking for,
And with trigger point therapy, you're looking for muscle fibers that are contracted and they feel thicker than the rest of the fibers.
Gotcha.
And you can identify them physically.
But that got me the first time I was introduced to the concept. I was like, this is that. They just lay over each other. Look, they're the same. They're not. They're not at all.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking.
With respect to our acupuncturist colleagues, whom I have had some referral and back to them because they're just great.
Oh, yeah.
They actually, what's cool about acupuncturists and some of the ones that I worked with is they really respected massage therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, okay, so my client has XYZ problem and that's where I stop and you can take over, Steve. And I'm like, cool, all right, let's go. And you could really look after a client together.
I love acupuncture.
Yeah.
I could sit in there all day long and they can put needles in me.
You're nuts.
Yeah. It works.
As long as they're small.
It works tremendously.
I think they're small
The
ones
thing about,
right.
I think what I would say, right, the thing about needling with massage therapists, you have to know your muscles really, really well. If you do that, then that's fine. But if you don't know your muscles really well, I think you should go through it. Because Stephen Travell would teach doctors precise muscle and go through it with them individually until they got it right. Because it's very, very powerful stuff. And you don't want to get it wrong because there's still nerves and arteries underneath the skin that you can't see unless you know the body really well. The science that's there showing about the fascia and about the muscles and about the trigger points, all the science is there. And it's just, I don't understand why we're not using it more.
All right, so let's go through your time in the Army.
Okay, well, what had happened was I was a master electrician and there was a recession. This was in the 80s, I think 84, 85, something
Sorry,
like that.
you just threw that in like it was nothing. I was a master electrician. Yeah, so anyway, I was also a master electrician and then, okay, just catching that, yeah.
Okay, well, you wanted to go to the military part, well.
All right, well, you can cover off the electrician bit too if you like.
I got to tell you why I joined.
Somewhere.
I got to just tell you why I joined.
Yeah, but that's amazing also.
So when I got let go finally because of the recession, because back then Texas was doing really well with oil. They're making their own oil. So everybody was working. Businesses were going booming. People were building houses. I mean, everything was going great. But of course, the government in its wisdom wanted to buy oil cheaper from across the ocean. And that really hit a hole in the population and the finances. A lot of people lost their homes and their beautiful places. And
so you were in Texas at
I was in Texas at the time.
Stage, right?
Yeah. And so my boss kept me as long as he could, but he had family members in the company. So he said, unfortunately, he can't let them go. So he had to let me go eventually, which was okay. I understood. I wasn't worried about it. And so, I just goofed off for a while because I was doing really well. And I thought, well, write it out a little bit. And but after a year, it was getting pretty intense. So then I started looking for jobs. But the thing is, I was either too smart, I was either too old, only 25, or I was too
old.
Whoa.
Or I was too brown. So
too smart, too old, and too brown. That's my problem. Yeah.
So I applied for other jobs like the police department, and then I said, oh, well, they hadn't called me, so I might have failed the test, which I didn't think I did. It wasn't that hard. And so I said, oh, well, I'll go into the military. get the GI Bill. The GI Bill is where you get extra money to go to college when you come out. You put in so much and they give you so much money. And then I could study for free in the military, And, I was not that old, but not that young either. So it was good for me. And I thought I'd see a little bit of the world as well. So
it's just, how do you go about joining the military in the US at that stage? Do you just call up is there like a recruiting office in every sort of town or state and you just walk in there? Is that how it works?
That's it.
Yeah. I know, I get this from the movies.
You think you're thinking about joining, Rob?
No. But I was thinking Jack Reacher. I think that's how it works. But no, I'm just curious. Yeah, I mean, now I think in New Zealand you would call, there's a website or 0800 number, etc. But back then, in the 80s, you would
go down to the office, right?
This was before online and internet
go see
everything.
Sergeant Major Smith.
And they would look you up and down and go, with you.
And they'd say to you, it's busy right now. There's a recession on. We're getting a lot of interest.
The government's working on the next war. So, we will need you. We will need you.
Yeah. So I went to recruiting offices. I actually went to go to the Marines first because they had cool uniforms.
Because they had cool uniforms.
But they didn't have the jobs I wanted. It was mainly for, fighting. And I thought, if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to help people,
Right.
So I went and...
I'm not an Army guy. So what is the difference between the Marines and the Army? And
the Marines are the first ones to go through hell for us to overcome an area.
Okay.
And then the Army usually comes and holds on to it.
Yeah.
But
what is the functional difference in terms of training and specialties?
It's my understanding the Marines are taught to fight.
Okay.
The Army, you have people who are like myself who are medics, and then you have
Corps of
truck
Engineers.
drivers, Corps of Engineers.
Right.
And you do have fighters too. Don't get me wrong. Everybody's taught to be a fighter first.
Sure.
Because that's your job.
Okay.
Regardless of other jobs you have.
There's basic training, right?
Yeah.
Basic training, and then you can move into different divisions.
Then you go to school to have some. But you have to accomplish that before as you sign up, you take this exam.
Right.
And it tells you what you can do. And I could have done anything. I passed it really well. They got mad because they wanted me to do certain things, and I said, nah, I'd just be a medic. And so, but anyway, like I said, if I was going to do anything, I was going to help. And that's what I wanted to do. Send people home alive.
So, but there must have been a part of you that felt like you wanted to, become a medic, align yourself to helping people and healing people.
But didn't you also do truck mechanics type work as well? If I'm not mistaken, on a memory, you told me there was a time when you shifted within the discipline in the Army.
Oh, I did several things. The good thing about the military is they'll always teach you new stuff that you want.
Right.
So I did bus and driving. So I had 13 licenses for 13 different vehicles.
Wow.
Which helps with getting more rank. And then I helped with the armory. So I learned armory stuff. Make weapons, keep clean weapons, take care of weapons. Actually, how to hotwire weapons sometimes too. So that was really interesting.
Must have been very interesting weapons if you were hot wiring them.
And then I helped with supplies. So
right.
I like learning. It's just my thing. I like to learn different things. And, you see different people. You get different views and stuff like that. So, but the medic was really cool because we're in a support battalion. The support battalion is a battalion who supports. So, but they also have loaners. So if this group of guys needed a medic, they'll loan you to them, or these guys. So I went out with the foot soldiers. I went with howitzers. I went out with armored tanks. I went out with whoever was going out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was really cool. I went out with quite a few different people. I can't really tell you all of them, but it was a great experience. Had a great time and took care of people. But grunts...
I was going to say, for the Marines, they call them the grunts, don't they?
No, the grunts they're the ones that are on the dirt. They're the ones that get into it.
They're the ones sent in first, aren't they?
Yeah. And it could be the Marines, but it could be other guys. But it's usually the Army guys, they call them the grunts. And these guys, love them to death, but you don't want them in society.
You want them in your Army.
You want them in your...
Yeah.
So I learned a lot more how to patch up bullet holes and stuff with these guys. It was really interesting because they practice a lot of live fire stuff. Okay. And it was really great.
What you're saying, they practice, because I was just going to say, were you ever in a real conflict? But you did mention you were stationed or positioned in Germany at some stage.
Yeah.
And in what capacity was that?
It was the Cold War, towards the end of the Cold War.
Yeah.
I was there when the wall went down.
Yeah.
So you just checkpoint Charlie, and
Right. And so there was a U.S. presence there, military presence.
Well,
there,
we were occupying Germany.
Yeah.
Did you ever trade a pair of jeans with an Eastern Bloc German for some food, goods, items? Because I heard there was a huge trade of contraband going on before the wall went down, of things like trade for food and clothing and stuff.
That happened all the time. That happened all the time. Yeah. Like when you'd go out, you know what an APC is?
No.
APC is an armored personnel carrier.
Okay.
It's a rectangular box.
Of course, Rob knew. Yeah.
That's about 13 tons, and it's got an inch of aluminum plating around it.
That'll do it.
And we'd go through towns and stuff like that and practice our little missions. And all the kids would come out, and they always wanted the MREs. Do you know what an MRE is?
No, those are food ration.
Yeah. Meal ready eat.
Right.
MRE. And so they loved. There was little chocolates in there sometimes, but they loved them.
These are East German kids?
No, these are German kids.
Just West German wanting the MREs.
Yeah, everybody wanted it.
Of course, it was West German, because if you were stationed with the U.S. Army, you'd be on the western side.
Yeah. Because the Russians were on the eastern side.
Yeah,
but no, they were really nice. I had a great time with the German people. One time I was doing a guard duty in the middle of nowhere, and it was snowing, and all you could see was white. Then I saw this ghostly figure coming my way, and like, oh, what is that?
Okay.
And it was a older German lady with a cup of warm wine and some cookies. She told me in my broken German at the time that she had a son in the army and she liked to make sure he was taken care of.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
But legally I wasn't supposed to drink. So I did take a sip, and I told my commander, and he goes, "Oh, that's okay. You can have a sip of that because it keeps you warm. And you're not going to get drunk from a couple of sips." So. But that was so nice. They were nice people.
Was that Glühwein?
Warmwein, or Weisswarm or something like that.
Was it wine?
Yeah.
Warm wine made with cinnamon?
Like a mulled wine?
Yeah, like a mulled wine.
Yeah.
Or Glühwein.
Okay.
That's what they called it when they gave it to me in Germany.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was really nice, So I had a lot of great experiences. You'd see things, castles, and it was a great time.
Yeah.
Well, a fascinating time, because, I mean, when the wall came, it was 89, you
89.
said, that was such a huge event for obviously Germany. And it's hard for us to even fathom that it was divided for so long. And there's a whole, obviously, story and history behind it, but...
So you were a medic in the army. Let's get back to that.
Oh, no, yeah. I was still talking about that.
But
I know. We're all over the map. I know,
but that's fascinating that you got to experience that.
Yeah,
because you took that path of joining the army, and you were in a medic capacity over in Germany as well.
Yeah,
because I know you did lots of different roles, and you had 13 licenses.
Well, whilst we're in that, whilst we're in Germany, what happened? What interesting things took place? I heard there was a story where you went out on leave at one point.
I went to Spain for a week.
Right.
And I can't tell you all the details, but it was a great time.
Yeah, I'm imagining it would be, yeah.
Sangria on the beach. Senoritas everywhere. And so I stayed there a little bit longer than I should have. And the bus that was supposed to come back, something happened to it. And so I couldn't catch it, so that put me a day behind. So I was AWOL, basically. But I got a hold of my commander, and he was not happy, but he said, "Look, I'll extend it for that day." So that was a nightmare for me, because I was always on the up and up. I did my duties, straightforward, because I liked getting rank, and I liked getting more money, and I liked having the freedom that I had. Even though I was in the army, I still had freedom. And so yeah, that's the time we were talking about. This the only time I was late.
Sure, maybe it was just one of the stories that you can't tell on air. But tell me about basic training or ongoing training with either sleep deprivation or exposure to chemicals and gas.
Well, when I was in basic training, they hit you with tear gas. They put you in this container, those sea containers, those big containers they have.
Like a bunch of dudes sitting in there.
Yeah, I was sitting there with our mask on.
Men and women?
Yeah, men and women. No, in basic training, it's only men and then only women. They're separated for that time.
At that moment.
In the real army, They're mixed.
Okay.
So we're sitting in there, and the drill sergeant comes and they spray it with gas. And then they tell everybody to take off their mask. And I took off my mask and didn't affect me. That was weird. He goes, breathe, Botello, breathe. So I'm breathing, and it just didn't affect me. And he thought, what's wrong with you, Botello? I said, well, I don't know. Just didn't affect me.
And everyone else is tearing up and crying and on the floor?
Spewing and tearing up and crying. And
Brilliant.
I was walking around like, oh, this didn't smell nice, but it didn't affect me. And that happened several times.
Wow.
So I thought that was interesting. So, yeah. When we were headed back, I was working, I was in charge. I was the squad leader. And I was helping out. And I jumped over the first wall because you can't see. It's midnight. And they were shooting at you and there's gas everywhere. And since everybody had the mask, they couldn't see as well. So I jumped over because I could see because I didn't have a mask on. And I landed on a rock and twisted my ankle.
Oof. So
I said, it's clear now because, it was clear. We were trying not to get shot. It was all laser game type things with them weapons. But still freaked out when they shot at you because it was. And then as we kept on going, I started to slow down. And I said, you're going to have to just go without me. And so they took my backpack. Somebody took my backpack. And then somebody took my weapon. Then towards the end, they picked me up and carried me out. I thought that was so cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool training experience.
Yeah, well,
Well, that's what you'd have to do for your fellow
the thing about
soldier.
Basic training, I loved it. I didn't even want it to end. I was having so much fun. All the challenges they did and everything.
Yeah.
And the drill sergeant was amazing. He comes, everybody here, there's no black, no white, no brown. They're all green.
Oh, wow.
Right.
And then you learn to depend on each other and help each other out. It's a great experience. I think more people should go through that. More men should go through that experience.
Yeah.
Of making connections like that.
Yeah. There's a real camaraderie and I've got your back and support and
And it doesn't have to be military. It could be just a scouting, whatever you want to call it. But just so they can work together and make, because then you work with people, you're used to it, you get used to it, and you learn from it, you understand it. Independent doesn't mean you have to do it by yourself, that you can still be independent and have support, So it was a great experience, and we didn't want to leave each other. It was really interesting,
Sure.
Yeah, well, you get some group dynamics that are like that in life, don't you?
Yeah. And I was considered the old man because I was 25 years old.
Yeah, well, that's quite old, isn't it?
And the youngest one, the oldest one besides me was 20 years old. So, but I beat them all and everything.
Yeah, we like to beat the 20-year-olds.
It was great. 18, 20-year-olds are pretty tough guys. So
yeah,
and it was great. And you can tell who had a silver spoon in their, and who had a hard life.
Yeah,
the ones that had the hard life thrived.
Yeah,
the ones that was silver spoon didn't do as well sometimes. But the support that you had was pretty amazing.
So you were a medic in the army.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to there because that'll be a good segue back to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So after basic training, you start your schooling.
Yeah.
So I flew back to San Antonio, Texas, because that's where training is at, which was really cool because it was close to my home. And San Antonio, if you've ever been to San Antonio, it's a beautiful, romantic place. It's one I think is more romantic. I've been to Paris. It's more romantic as far as I'm concerned than Paris.
Yeah.
You got the river walk and it's just beautiful. But we were, you go there, you learn your stuff. You still have to clean your barracks and do all this. Not as much, though. You got less cleaning to do because there's more people there. So it's divided between each other.
More people doing
training,
doing the work and the facility work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you learn to inject each other. You get injected. You learn how to patch people up, CPR. It was really good. And they prepare you for a good, trauma experience. And you still get in fights and stuff. Oh, it's a military. People are pumped up to fight.
Where were you when you did the pistol tournament? And they couldn't figure out how you managed to.
Oh, that was a rifle.
It was a rifle tournament? Tell us that story.
Well, as a medic, you go to rifle ranges. So if something happens, a gun blows up, somebody gets shot, ricochet, you're there to cover it. And so we had this commander from another battalion make a bet with our commander. See, I was really good shooting. I've been shooting all my life. It's hunting when I was a kid and baby guns when I was even smaller. And so I was really good at it. So this rifle ranges, you got targets, that pop-up targets, and they're at 50, 100, 150, 200, up to 300. And if you pay attention, like I'm used to paying attention because when you hunt, you have to pay attention because you can't see animals real easily in the forest. And I noticed these two pop-up targets, they kind of, one comes up, you got 2 seconds, the other one comes up behind it at an angle, and then it drops, and then it drops. So you got 1 second to shoot before they both drop. And so I tried that a few times, and I would hit 2 targets with 1 bullet. And so the commanders were betting, and the commander knew I always hit 40 out of 40, because that's how many times you get to shoot. And he said, "You better win, Botello. I'm going to bet a big amount of money on you." I said, "Okay." So we shot 40 out of 40 3 times. He did it. He was a good shot. And so he says, "Okay, we're going to do 2 more times, but then we're going to start changing it up." So then we shot again 2 more times, but I shot 40 with 39 bullets. And they couldn't understand that. I said, "I got a bullet left over, so I did better shooting." And they're like, "How did you do that?" I said, "Well, I shot 2 targets at one time." Says, "But they're not designed to be shot at 2, like that, because it's very hard. What you have to do is when you're shooting for 2 seconds, you have to come all the way over to the other side, pull the trigger, and then come back. Otherwise, you're going to be missing." So that's what I did.
Right.
And so we won the bet. And they got a 3-day pass out of that.
All right.
So you were thinking slightly outside the box, so to speak, or just you were able to assess what was in front of you and figure out a way to shoot that target, both targets with 1 bullet.
Well, I guess growing up where I grew up, I wanted to survive. And so if I was going to go to war, I was going to take every advantage I can to survive. Yeah. And so I look at things in that way. Like when I drive, I look at cars ahead. If he comes out, what am I going to do? If he comes out, what am I going to do? So I'm already preparing myself for something else. And if I can shoot 2 people that are trying to kill me at the same time, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Great for being in the military then, to have that mindset.
Yeah.
Oh, I thrived really well. It was nothing for me, actually. I could have stayed. I got offered quite a bit of money to stay at the end, but I want to become a therapist more.
So what happened between then and training in neuromuscular therapy? What took you out of the army and into doing that?
Well, I did my service. It was a 3-year service.
Okay.
I opted out in Europe, so I stayed in Europe a little bit longer. There's a lot of beautiful places. I like Europe because the people are different than the Americans, completely different than Americans. I liked actually the borders. I really did, because the whole scenario would change. The money would change. The atmosphere would change. It was beautiful. Like going from state to state's nice, but going from the country to country was just amazing. You have the guys, and being in the military didn't bother me. They come up with their little Uzis, looking, making sure everything's good, and walk out. That didn't affect me at all.
Yeah. Which you don't get in New Zealand. Yeah. We don't have that cross-cultural, just everything changes.
Although there seems to be a difference going from the North Island to the South Island.
Yeah, but not in
There's a bit of a vibe in the South Island.
Like going from one.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, you're right about the South and North Island, because I used to live in Christchurch.
Yeah.
And when I came here, it was like, wow, completely different.
Yeah, I do agree.
And I like that. But I enjoyed that. And then, of course, like I said, the money, I still have it back home, all the different monies from different countries. That was really cool. It's such it's just such a pleasant thing. And then the people, I am a man. The girls were great. So, the European ladies had a different concept than the American ladies. So that was really nice.
Oh, they had a different concept.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different concept, not a...
They weren't as needy and as demanding. They were freer. They're freer-minded thinking people.
Yeah.
Should I say. And, but I did have an experience that freaked me out because, of course, this was in the 90s. And that's when AIDS was around and things like that were, because we were trained about AIDS and stuff like that.
And great trance music and house music.
Yeah. And they talked about how
that's
guys.
Rob's era.
Yeah. This was the first time, about guys dressing up as girls and stuff like that. And there was problems with that happening and stuff. So I was in the subway and this beautiful angel of a face came by and like, wow, she's gorgeous. And then she picked up her arm and put it on the bar. And she had hair underneath her arm. Oh, my God. You don't see that in America, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the guys. I was being a medical person. I like, where's the Adam's apple? No Adam's apple. It must be a girl. She says, oh, she's beautiful. She went beautiful again. And then sat in front of me. She had hair on her legs. Oh my God. It's a girl.
Oh, no.
Oh my God. But it wasn't.
Was this Germany?
It was Germany.
Yeah, I thought so.
She was beautiful. But you got to get over that brainwashing.
Sure. Of what is conventionally beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, hair's hair.
Hair is hair.
Why is it okay for guys to have hair but not girls? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but then, the Gillette and so forth companies will have any customers.
That's true.
They would with guys, perhaps. But
some great experiences. And every Christmas, German family would come take a soldier home. That was so nice. I went to this one guy's place.
No kidding. They would take they billet a soldier.
Yeah, who didn't have a family there.
Oh, wow.
So that was really cool.
Yeah.
And I went to this one guy's house, and he spoke very little English, so I had to really brush up on my German. He said, I have something that's secret, and can I show you? And you keep it secret. I said, yeah, I'll keep it secret.
Wow.
He had this special cupboard that opened up to a room, hidden room.
No kidding.
No kidding.
This is so James Bond. Okay, a hidden room, yeah.
He had all these old radios from World War II.
Oh,
and they had the Nazi emblems. I said, that's cool. He goes, oh, it's against the law. I says, yeah, I know, but that's still cool. Why should it be against the law? It was part of your history.
I find that whole thing of making it against the law interesting, understandable, but this was the history.
That was history.
Yeah, and if you appreciate it just from that perspective of look at the design, look at what they did, then it's very interesting.
It was cool. I mean, the designs, they had swastikas on it, but also the radios, because I took electronics in high school, and I used to fix those radios with tubes in them. And so that was exciting to me too. So
what were they called? Tube or crystal set
tubes.
or something?
They had tubes in them.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Vacuum tubes.
Vacuum tubes. Thank you.
Correct word.
Yeah. And what was the crystal set radio? What does that mean?
That means they used quartz.
Right. That's after the tubes.
Yeah.
Okay.
In that area. But these were so cool because they'd all work and turned on, and they had clear sound, and the designs were amazing because they were made out of wood. Not plastic.
Despite what you want to say about Nazi-era electronics, they probably made it very well.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Well, Germans are known for great technology.
Engineering and designing, yeah. So take me on the journey to Hawaii.
So after getting out of the military, I went to school to become a massage therapist in Boulder, Colorado.
Boulder is famous for massage therapy, isn't it?
A lot of alternative therapies.
Yeah.
They had the Feldenkrais, Rolfing Institute. They had quite a few big institutes there.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. If you ever want to go to a place where there's a lot of things to do, is Boulder, Colorado. You
Lots
got
of
rock
skiing.
climbing, bouldering, mountain climbing, you name it, ice climbing in the winter.
It's quite well known for outdoor pursuits and adventures, right? Yeah.
And a lot of alternative thinking too. They were also, were they not one of the first states to legalize marijuana?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
It's legal there.
Yeah.
But so I went to school there. I had another great adventure there. I could go on for every little thing I've done. So I enjoy life.
Yeah.
I don't have any limitations. And so after I went there, I graduated. I was asked by the school to help teach because apparently I got it pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stayed there for another year teaching, mainly anatomy and physiology. That's why my anatomy and physiology was good. They did this thing called the mannequin. It's a little skeleton guy that you build the muscles for. And so you put it on the skeleton, on the origins and insertions.
With plasticine?
With clay.
Clay, yeah.
It's a great way to learn because you not only basically you build it with the fibers directions.
Yeah.
Then you put it on the bone, origins and insertions, and you can see the directions and the connections. Just a great way of learning.
Yeah, right.
So I did that. Then I worked at the chiropractor's place for a while. And, you just had a blast there. But I got offered a job back in my hometown, and I wanted to, make sure I hang out with my parents for a while because they're getting older. So I came back to Corpus to work for a while. Stayed there, enjoyed it. Then I decided I'm going to go back to Colorado because I liked all the outdoor stuff that was going on. But on my way to Colorado, there was a big snowstorm, so I stopped in Houston, And my cousin says, just stay here for a few weeks, you know. If you don't like it, then you can go. So I was going to stay there for a few weeks. But I went to go visit another massage therapist that I met at a conference. And she said, come to Houston and visit me anytime. So I walked in her office. She didn't even say hello. She goes, can you work? Are you busy?
Wow.
So I said, no, I can work. Yes. Sure. You know. So I started working.
Wow.
And then I worked on 3 people. And she paid me. She said she didn't want any payment from me because I got her out of a bind. And I asked her why I wanted to stay because she could really book me up. And she was a go-getter. This woman was, you know, she could get the business going.
Wow.
So I said, I'll have to ask my cousin, you know.
Mm.
So he said, oh, stay here. I want you to stay here. So I stayed there for 2 years. And then I got itchy feet. I was working at a millionaires club. I mean, I wasn't doing bad. I worked at a millionaires club, and they tipped me usually $100 every time I worked on them.
On top of what they paid you?
On top of what they paid for me. They were millionaires.
Yeah, sure.
And
where are these millionaire clubs?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Downtown Houston.
Okay, I've got a way to go. But where does one, is it literally called a millionaires club?
No,
or is it
no,
called Johnny's or something?
No, it's called Houston Center Club.
Okay.
But there were millionaires there.
Sure.
But just elaborate a bit more on the millionaires club. It's just rich people that
very wealthy people. They had everything you can think of in there. It was a great place. And they were really great people.
Well, what does a club mean in terms of you have everything?
A gymnasium type place.
Okay, so we're talking about is it a gym or is it a bar or is it what is it?
Oh, they had everything. So
wow.
You had a gym and then you had a running cycle inside the building.
A running track.
Okay. Running track.
Okay.
And then you had all these personal trainers to cater to you. Then, of course, you had your massage therapist. And then you had your food outlet where they had beautiful, healthy foods.
Okay.
And they just took care of you. And then you can have, they had conference rooms and stuff. So, yeah. And you get out and you walk across.
I'd quite like to join this place.
Yes, I'm imagining this place and I'm thinking, I think I'll fit right in there.
Well, the funny thing is, I'm the person who, I don't know how I do it, but I create change.
Okay.
I just do it. I don't think about it. Because when I got there, the massage room was about up to there, not very big.
Mm-hmm.
I had to actually push the table to work on the other side of the person.
Oh, come on.
Right.
And this is a millionaires club. So
and this is the millionaire, they've got running tracks.
Oh, sure. We got time for personal trainers, but no time for a massage room.
But see, it wasn't their fault. It was the massage therapist who wouldn't talk about it.
Right.
Okay. And so I told all the millionaires, I'm going to be leaving soon because I'm just going to hurt my back.
Yeah.
And they go, no, we can do something about it. I said, well, just build a room a little bit bigger. And I told them the dimensions. So they built it bigger than my dimensions.
Good on them.
And I was allowed to put a mural on the wall because I do some artwork every now and then.
Yeah.
Painted turquoise, got electrical tables so I can move. Everything was paid for. So
yeah,
I didn't have to worry about it. And then they had a room for the women's locker room and the men's locker room so they can both come in easier.
Right.
And so I stayed there for a couple of years.
That's pretty cool.
And they were so nice to me. I find it weird, though. I don't know if I should say this, but I'm adventurous. I go do things. I go live life. And they were starting to ask me questions about my life. And I usually don't talk in a massage session unless it's for treatment therapy. And so I said, are you sure? You're going to relax? No, just what'd you do this weekend? So I tell them, I went to Florida, went to Disneyland, worked on somebody who was in a car wreck, because the flight attendant gave me free tickets to fly over there so I can take care of her brother. And then at the meantime, I got all these wonderful things happening, And they go, oh, yeah. And then I went to Hawaii to look at Hawaii because another flight attendant gave me tickets. That's when flight attendants can give you tickets.
Dude, you were hooked up with flight attendants.
I was just going to say, where are these flight attendants?
Were these some of your ladies? He laughed. No, they were.
American Airlines hub was in Houston at the time.
Sure.
So it was easy to, these
good excuse.
No, they were having troubles with the shoulders because they were lifting this is when baggage was getting bigger and stuff. And they had problems. So I was helping them out. And I loved the free ticket. And so I was sitting down in the restaurant where some of the millionaires paid for my meal, so I didn't have to pay for food there. And another guy comes up to me and says, became a good friend of mine. He was one of the people that was a member. And he goes, I can see you're thinking of something. He's a lawyer, right? One of those lawyer guys. You remind me of him. He was so cool. He was just, he knew things, you know?
I can see you're thinking of something.
I can, yeah.
And I said, well, I find it strange that these guys who make all this money are asking me about my life when they can do anything they want 10 times over than I can do it. He goes, no, they can't. He goes, because they've subdued themselves to a certain lifestyle. That means they have to work to be at that lifestyle.
Yeah.
I said, well, they could retire because they got, quite a bit of money. So if they did that, all the people that he's supporting are going to have to lower their standards, which they're already used to. And I said, well, even those standards are going to be higher than most of the world's. He goes, yeah, I know that, but to them it's the same thing. So he's got to continue to work. So if he can live through your life a little bit,
live vicariously through your experiences,
he can enjoy himself with the thought that it's been done.
So they must have seen something in you that they desired, and they thought they couldn't have, a certain level of freedom or a certain level of joy. Or what do you think they saw in you? They were so curious.
It was just being myself. It was just being myself. I was just enjoying life.
Because we have this perception in society that money gives you it gives you lots of choices, but does it give you the freedom that you desire? Because as you say, how do you make that money? What do you have to do for it?
What's your exchange?
Yeah, what's the exchange?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's only the money part. It's the people that there have been, I guess, spoiling for such a long time to lower their standards. It's like having a Mercedes, but then having to go to Toyota.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't really want to.
There's a certain level of lifestyle that in order to maintain that, and then you have that, you put the meaning and importance to it, and can you let go of that?
Yeah.
But also
that's not freedom. That's because you're a slave to that. You're tied to that.
I think Leon must have ended up being their favorite dude at the club. I mean, just to be able to give you a huge therapy room is almost like, you enjoying it? Are you liking it? Because you get joy when you give something to someone. You get joy out of hearing their enjoyment of it.
Yeah. No, they really loved the room because I had a good sound system and everything. Just really made it work for them. And for myself because I was proud of what I was doing. But I got more than that. I get free meals. I can get anything at the bar. It's called a bar, but it's just a restaurant area.
Yeah.
And I could get any food I want, and it was all paid for. I got tickets to the box seats for games.
What sort of games?
Football, basketball, baseball. And have you ever been to a box seat place?
I have in this year here in New Zealand and stayed for rugby matches and other things.
Especially just a big box.
Like the corporate areas.
And free food, free drink.
It's a different experience.
And I didn't even watch the game.
That's the trap,
isn't it? Busy eating.
Well, here's the thing: a lot of people, they don't necessarily go there for the game. They go there for that experience because of the food and the wine and the socializing and the networking opportunities, etc. Because
it was funny for me at first because I wasn't used to this kind of people.
I
mean, I was used to working on them, but not used to socializing with them. And so, but I got used to it and made friends, connections, and it was really good.
It's funny, right? Because that goes both ways, I think. They're getting that enjoyment out of your experience and asking you about your life and what it gave to them in terms of making them feel better as a person. When I was a therapist with some wealthy clients, I think their mindset around money affected me for the better. And so it went the other way in terms of I was in a kind of a mindset of struggle and strive and just everything being tough, and that did not change overnight. But being around them and seeing the way they worked with things shifted, I think, my frequency and my vibe around and my energy around money. It was fascinating, and it sort of for the better. And I saw the way they lived and went, that's what I want. Yeah. I want to feel this level of freedom and joy that poverty mindset was just hammering me on.
Sure.
I'm not saying that's easy to fix, but I think it starts with just the sensation of how you feel inside of yourself.
No, totally agree with that. Because one of them told me that I need to be okay with receiving because I was used to getting everything my own.
Lies.
So this was a good lesson for me. to
as a fiercely
to
independent
receive.
person,
Yeah.
you've got to learn to receive.
Yeah. And,
That's a big one. Giving yourself that permission and openness to receive is a big one, because that's kind of a block, and it's not completing that loop or that
total block. If you have an issue around things and stuff, and you can't receive things because of the way you've grown up, then it blocks you from progress for sure. Yeah.
So I learned because I was going to buy a Jeep that I wanted.
Yeah.
And I was talking to other people, and these guys are listening in. And I said, the Jeep was $3,000 back then.
That's a very cheap Jeep.
That's
in the 90s. It's like $6,000 to $10,000 now.
Okay, but so it was a secondhand Jeep?
No.
You can't buy a new Jeep for $3,000. Don't tell me that's possible.
It was not. It was a not a secondhand. Yeah, it was secondhand, but it was
not old.
A floor model.
A floor model,
in the
showroom.
Dealership.
Yeah, and they would take people driving on
like a demo.
Yeah.
It's a demo unit. Well, that's essentially brand new.
Yeah, like $3,000.
That's what I'm saying. It's
what?
not. Yeah.
Come on, $3,000. Okay, no, I'll just back to you.
This is the 90s, Steve.
Yeah,
were you born there?
No, I was born in the 70s, but this is another country as well, so that's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So I said, I'll wait for a week. If it's sold, it's sold. If not, I'll get it, because I only had $2,500 at the time. And I had more money than that, but I didn't want to use that money. That was my backup money.
Yeah.
And got a check underneath my door, $3,000. Says, get your Jeep and don't ask any questions.
Wow.
Come on.
No, I'm not lying. And there was a contract with it, because he was a lawyer. And says you can pay it off at your leisure. So there was no time limit on it. And so at first I went up and said, well, this is a little much, He goes, no, learn to receive right now.
Whoa, right now.
in a nice way.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
And I said, okay.
Wow.
Signed the paperwork. Thing is, I got the Jeep, and I was like, I call him every time, says, can I come over and work on you? Can I come over? Thing is, it didn't pay off to go and work on him, because then he'd take me out to dinner, and we'd go to a movie, and his whole family was going together, right?
Yeah.
And we had this great time. I didn't even get to work very much for it. And then when I went to Hawaii, he just got paperwork and just ripped it up.
No way.
I think I only paid $1,000 off it.
Wow.
If I had paid that. So when I work on them, I try to work on them for like 2 hours to try to make up for it. But
back then, this is the 90s. Back then, what were you charging in American dollars for a treatment?
In the Millionaires Club, it was $80.
Yeah.
And usually $50.
For the non-millionaires?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's quite a good price back then.
I'd
quite
say
expensive.
That's a
in
professional's
the 90s?
rate in the 90s.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
For Texas, it was.
Yeah.
And then, of course...
And they'd pay tips on top of that.
Tips on top of that.
Yeah.
And bonuses. Yeah. Because I didn't just massage them, right? If they had pain, I would help them eliminate it or help them find a way to eliminate it. So I just didn't rub them like other people did and send them away.
Yeah.
I said, okay, well, you're going to have to drink this. You're going to have to eat this.
Nutritional advice, lifestyle advice.
Yeah. So they were very upset when I was thinking of leaving, and they tried to bribe me.
Yeah.
Bribe you with the next version of the Jeep.
What's your feeling on caffeine and body pain?
Well, for some body pains, it helps eliminate and get it through. And for others, it just takes away the nutritional value and stimulates the nervous system to make it worse. So it just depends on the person. Everything's individual.
That's interesting.
You can only try and see what happens.
I had a client who had lower back pain consistently as a retail worker. Did a lot of standing in a store where she would sell clothing, like in St. Luke's or that kind of place in a shopping center. And when she gave up the daily or twice daily mocha, it all went away. And she did not want that advice, but she took it for a while and went, oh, it worked.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily advice I can take for myself, because I'm really good at telling other people what to do to improve.
Yeah.
But that's where it might stop.
Well, the old adage, practice what you preach.
Yeah.
But it's not always easy.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, it's up to the individual. Like my teachings have evolved. When I would start to teach, it was like, oh, you got to do this. Now it's like, look, everybody's different. Some people you're never going to change, but that's their journey. And some people, it's the journey with you, and they're going to change. So just take it as it comes and understand that's just the way it is.
Can you take us now to New Zealand and you arrive and start teaching?
Okay. I'll jump to Hawaii first.
Oh, of course. Yeah, please.
So I went to get on a cruise ship. That's what I was trying to get on. And because then I went to see a little more of the world, little bits in there. And I heard they made pretty good change. So I got an invite from a man who said he was in charge of one of the cruise ships for Alaska and all that on the western coast. And so he said, come to Hawaii. So I said, okay, I'll come to Hawaii, but I'm going to go take my test this weekend in Hawaii because each state is different. And he goes, you going to pass it? I said, yeah, I'm going to pass it. He goes, well, some people it takes 2-3 times to pass it. No, I'll pass it on the first time. I studied for it,
Yeah.
I was living a therapist. All I had to learn was the codes from Hawaii, which were a little bit different, which was no big deal. So I went over there, passed it, because I had free flights from flight attendants.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah, that's how that worked. Yeah.
And so went and passed it. Told him, okay, here's the proof that I passed it.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, you're very impressive. And he liked my resume. And so I went to Hawaii. And on the flight over, I met this lady and her family. The husband was going to come later. And she was in the health business. They were making these machines, these workout machines and all that stuff. They're doing very good. And they go, oh, come visit us. If you have a table, bring it over and you can work on us and you can stay for free.
Wow.
So when I went there, the job wasn't really there. He said, oh, it'll come soon. I said, yeah, but I got to be making money to pay for my living expenses. He goes, just give me a week. I said, okay, well, you pay for a flight for me to fly to Kauai because I was in Oahu. Kauai, I'll be there for a week and then I'll come back. He goes, okay. So he paid for it. So I called him up, said, invitation's still good. They go, come on down. So went over to Kauai, went fishing, swimming, hiking, worked on the parents and the older kids and had a great time. And then came back. The world is just opening up if you allow it and learn to receive, which I was getting better at,
Yeah.
Because I was always giving. And then when I came back, so happened, the way the world works, the guy that was working at the Hilton Hawaiian Village, it's the big, huge hotel chain, Hilton's, and he had decided to stay in Florida. So I got the job there. And one of the first people that came up and smiled at me was, have you ever heard of Jim Neighbors?
No.
He used to be Gomer Pyle, USA. He used to play a comedian Marine. He was very funny. He's also an opera singer. Anyway, if you look him up,
Wow.
you'll see
What a talent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he put his face and he smiled. He has the face of a genius comedian because you just smile with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he made me laugh because he says, don't worry about my Mercedes-Benz emblem on my stomach. So after he laid down and pulled it over, he had a scar like that and like that. So,
he'd had open heart surgery.
Liver surgery.
Liver surgery. Oh, they really pulled people open at that time.
Opened him up, yeah. At the time.
Yeah.
He was a lot older.
Yeah.
And he was just so funny. And he invited me over to his place. But he wasn't the same type of person that chooses the same type of people for getting together.
Wow.
If that makes any sense.
No.
I loved him and I cared for him, but I wasn't into his type of relationships. Because that's what he wanted.
Oh.
But he was so nice. I still worked on him. I took care of him.
Oh, he was attracted to you.
Yeah. And
okay.
And then I understood that I was a good-looking guy. But at the same time...
According to the flight attendant.
Yeah. Sure.
I respected him by saying thank you, but no thank you.
I think that's the way it's got to be.
Yeah, no. But he was good. He kept on coming, and we had a great time and stuff.
Yeah.
And then this young boy comes up, and I thought it was just a young kid that got lost, right? He goes, hey, dude, can we get massages in our room? I said, Yeah, sure, you can. How many do you want? He goes, there's 4 of us. I said, Tony, is that your name, Tony? He goes, yeah. It was from Hot Chili Peppers, Tony.
Oh.
Yeah. So I went to the room and hung out with him, massaged them all. And so I did such a good job on the drummer because his arms are really crazy.
I bet.
Oh, so the 4 people was the whole band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they invited me to tour with them, but I just got to Hawaii.
Right.
To tour with them as their personal
Yeah. I
therapist.
wanted to.
Yeah.
There was other things involved that I didn't enjoy about the situation, but as a group, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
But when he's short. He's really short.
Oh, of course. I was like having a miss. So he called himself Tony.
That's his name.
But the world knows him as Anthony Kiedis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, of course.
They were really nice and great people. So they were cool. But I just got to Hawaii because I got so many offered jobs in Hawaii, and I just got there. I didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
Also got, they had the Aloha Bowl. You ever hear of the Aloha Bowl?
No.
It was a good football game.
Right.
And one of the star quarterbacks from a team, I'm not going to mention the team and all that, but he came with arm problems, and I worked on him and got him better. And they said if I'd come back to Colorado to work. I was like, no, I'm not going to leave hot, sunny Hawaii.
Yeah.
But you've worked on a lot of athletes, haven't you? And improved their speed or running or activity.
Mm-hmm.
What's one of the, you mentioned to me yesterday that their athletes are great clients, but terrible at telling other people about you because they don't want to share the advantage.
No. Like for the psoas and the iliacus, that's actually what gives you a better, longer stride and makes you work or run faster. Most people just work on quads, hamstrings, stuff, but it's the psoas and iliacus that gives that full momentum of lift. And it's a hip flexor.
Mm.
And so I would always tell them, okay, you're going to promote me if I get you to run, take time off your run. And they go, yeah, sure. So sure enough, take time off the run. But they won't tell anybody because then other people will learn.
They'll get faster too.
They'll get faster too.
Yeah.
So
funny.
They're not good for that because I worked on some of the triathlete Olympians in the 1996 it was, I think it was, around there. Because I had an office in Christchurch at the QE2 complex. Complex was really well set up for athletes and stuff. They had the bicycle tracks and all that stuff. So yeah. And I worked together with a doctor. I don't know if I should mention his name, but he's one of the biggest sports doctors at that time for the sports guys in New Zealand.
Like the new Sports Institute or
Was he the All Blacks doctor?
No. It's for triathletes mainly, I think.
Right. So you mentioned New Zealand. So when did you come into New Zealand?
Let's fill that part of the picture.
Yeah. So when I was in Hawaii, I got a letter from 2 friends of mine that lived here, and she was a Kiwi and he was an American, but he was stationed in Antarctica. So they met in Christchurch because that was the hub.
He had to be in the military, surely.
No, civilian
in Antarctica. Okay.
Yeah. And so they were really good people, and we became good friends. Went rock climbing, ice climbing, hiking in Colorado, and had a good time. And so I came over because I was learning more therapies, and they wanted to know if I knew any more therapists. I said, sure. So I came over, did my fascia release in 94, very successful, completely sold out. So I came back in 95 and successful again, even extended to Auckland as well, because I only did Christchurch once the first time, and then Christchurch again. And then the college in Canterbury, College of Natural Medicine, asked if I could come help with the curriculum and get a job there. By that time, I had gone back to Houston, to Corpus, and working in rehab hospitals, which was great learning. I would have done it all over again, but it was burning me out. So I said I'd come to New Zealand, stay here for a couple of years, and then go back. But I kept on making more stuff and learning more stuff. People wanted more, so it was a big demand. So became a citizen after 3 years and just wrote diplomas, wrote degrees, and yeah.
You told me at one point that you were traveling every weekend.
Yes.
For how long?
I think 1 year
in New Zealand.
I did 40 weekends.
40 weekends away.
Yeah.
In a row, on flights. How'd you do it?
Oh, I loved traveling, and it was nice to be wanted. So
Yeah.
I was in a high, really.
So the places that you would go to would include what?
Oh, from Invercargill, Waimate next to Dunedin.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, Christchurch. Then, of course, Nelson, and Wellington, New Plymouth. What's the other one? This Plymouth.
And by the way, these are all locations where either schools of massage therapy were or
people invited me to come teach a group.
Right.
Hamilton, of course, Tauranga, Mount Maunui. I said Invercargill, didn't I?
I think so, yeah.
Of course, North Tech, Northland, everywhere, really.
And then there were the non-flights, but were drives into Hamilton and Auckland and stuff.
Waimate, when I went to Waimate, I was on a motorcycle.
Oh.
And it was raining and horrible weather. And I was driving my motorcycle. I shouldn't have driven my motorcycle. I should have got a car. And I could barely see. It was just pouring, but I was going slow. I was being smart. And when I got to where I arrived, I told them, I said, I saw a kangaroo. And they go, Leon, did you fall and knock your head or something? You all right? I said, no, I didn't fall. I was fine. It's good. He says, you saw a kangaroo, Leon. Something must be wrong. They're pulling my leg. There's wallabies there. Loose wallabies around the Waimate area.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
So it wasn't a kangaroo, it was a wallaby.
Rianne's nodding her head, so she obviously has spent time with said wallabies.
Who knew we had wallabies?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were pulling my leg, and I was like,
what's the difference between a wallaby and a kangaroo? Someone know? Anyway.
Well, I think there's a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Yeah? See, she has spent time with them.
Yeah.
She said they're smaller. I'm aware of your hard out time because of your travel commitments to get back home before you started today. So I just kind of want to head towards as we go to the end. Are you available now if people need to book in with you?
Yeah. In Aurora Falls, sometimes Kerikeri, and in Manganui.
Now, that's for those that don't know this in the far north.
North, I love Haruru Falls.
For those that are not, well, let's just say people like me who are geographically challenged, that's north of Whangarei by a distance.
Yeah, just south of Kerikeri.
How many hours north of Whangarei?
North of Whangarei, about an hour and a bit.
An hour and a bit, yeah.
And if you're required for teaching, are you open to people flying you places to teach groups?
Yeah. I still do that.
You still do that?
I still do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be writing some stuff that I should have been writing a long time ago on therapeutic effects on certain parts of the body, which I'm not going to say right now.
Oh, well, you mentioned it at dinner last night, and I think that's that'll be fascinating for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you say writing, is this a book?
Yeah, it's going to be a book with instructions. So kind of a book manual.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parts of the body that are not being addressed that could help a lot of people.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It was a really interesting talk about that last night, and obviously I won't say anything about it either, but please come back in if you ever need to communicate and talk about that book in the future. Before we wrap up, and maybe Rob and I can hit you with a couple of questions here, because we're into taking a perspective on mindset and reality. Do you have anything that applies to the sort of therapy you do as a neuromuscular therapist where you see mindset getting in the way of results?
Oh, totally. Because of what we've been trained to think, we have a tendency to believe that because they're supposed to be the experts and the scientists and stuff like that. But I find that you make your own destiny. And it's good to have support to help someone understand that. For instance, okay, I'm in pain, and I'll always be in pain because my doctor said so. Well, the doctor didn't make your body, didn't design it, barely knows anything about it. And that's just the body. We're not even talking about the mind. And psychiatry, again, is a science. But again, like I said earlier, science is about asking questions, not about following orders. And so you have to do your best to explain to somebody. You don't have to, but it'd be nice to explain to somebody how they're really in charge and that they can take charge. But you'll see, all you got to do is look in the bookshelves. There's a lot of books of people who thought or told they were going to die or told that they were never going to do something and changed because they chose to. So people can choose. Now, how to do it's a different story, but still, there's a lot of data available for people now on how to change. And they can ask therapists. If the first one doesn't give them the answer that helps them, then ask another one. You know? Always get second opinions, third opinions, fourth opinions. Because there's so much out there. If you look at nature, look at the wild animals. They don't walk around with a limp or a bad kidney or anything because they're living naturally. We are not living naturally. And we probably can't live naturally like we used to, but we can live as natural as possible. And that will be very beneficial to begin with. And of course, having the best people around you. If there are people that, of course, don't feel good to you, then it's probably good. You can say hello to them and be nice to them, but it's probably good not to hang around them too long because they're going to hold on to you. You want to have those people who are motivating you, supporting you, and helping you move forward. Yeah. I've seen people change just by something I've said. For instance, one time, this one guy, he was huge. He was built like a mountain, big muscles, big, strong guy. And he tells me, "Oh, Leon, I don't know why I have this back pain." I go, "Okay, well, what do you drink? What do you eat?" And he goes, "I drink a lot of caffeine, 6 liters of Coke a day. I eat trash food. I don't have any time. I'm working all the time." I said, "Really? And you're wondering why you're in pain?" He looked at me and I said, "Oh, shit, he's going to kill me." And he goes, "No one's ever told me that. God dog it, I should have figured that out myself. You're right. I am not taking care of myself." Thank God,
Yeah.
Because I took a chance and on him because I cared.
Yeah.
He's a human being. And he changed. He stopped drinking Coke. He stopped eating crap food. And he wasn't gassy anymore. His belly wasn't swollen anymore. And he was feeling better. He could sleep finally. I'm like, well, it was just something simple, really. And that's just by talking to him. If you care, you need to take the chance to help people. And of course, I'm a therapist, so that's my job. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. But it's our story. We should be writing it.
Yeah. What a great way to look at your life. It's your story. You should be writing it. Rob, anything to finish on there?
Oh, just so inspiring. And you're right. You never know what impact just by being you and doing what comes naturally and because you care, like what impact that can have on people. And sometimes we lose sight of that we're afraid of, I think a lot of people are afraid of who they really are or being authentic and genuine because we're told so much by society of what we should believe and who we should be. And I hope with, just with this podcast that people that watch and listen to you can somehow be inspired by your journey to follow your advice. Because I've learned a lot just by listening.
Yeah.
And to keep an open mind, you've helped me today just to remind myself to always be open and to be curious. And I think you said it beautifully that we need as humanity to get back to our natural essence.
Yep.
And to live naturally. Because I feel like we're being pulled so much. This is a whole nother topic, but pulled so much by technology and distraction and so much information that we lose sight of the simple things within us, the simple things that were always there, but they're getting covered and getting distracted and distorted.
Well, that's another layer to what Leon was saying too about, we're not living naturally. So I quite agree.
And I believe it starts primarily with the mind and consciousness because that's how we get programmed and that's what, the thoughts that we create and the words in our own story that we create influences so much on how we believe and how we perceive reality. And I know it's easy to talk about it, but you've got to start trusting in your own wisdom and your own thoughts and we are so unique and amazing.
Well, Leon, thank you so much for joining us today and coming down and making the trip from up north, and with your lovely wife who's been in the studio creating her course here, which we're really excited to be part of too. I just want to say thanks. Thanks for coming in. There's a lot there that I've known about for years, and it's nice to have a documentation and record of that, and to be able to play this back in the future. And I hope other people come to recognize the value of what neuromuscular therapy can do and the things that you've taught me. And I'll just say this as the show wraps up. If you're enjoying the show, please like and subscribe. We've got an audio version that you can listen to as a podcast. And if anything's been said today that can help you or a loved one, share it with them. Let them know. And we'll see you on the next episode.